With me losing her and me going through so much in life and me being who I am today, I can see that actually it was sad, but also God had planned something.
So what up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Luke, and guys, welcome back to Primal Spirit Distillery. And today I have a very special guest. I won't introduce, the guest. I will let him introduce himself, and we'll take it from there. Sir, you're welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, guys. My name is Robert Simbowe.
Yes, sir.
Actually, Robert Simbowe. Robert's my first name. The Simbowe, it's a bit tricky actually, but it's one of my favorite names that I love so much.
Okay.
And I had to go with it. I'm originally Zambian.
Okay. You're welcome, sir.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So yes, guys, Mr. Robert is a professional EFC fighter.
Yeah.
The first MMA professional to ever come out of Zambia.
Yeah, that's correct. The first, I would say, the pioneer, I would say. Yeah,
Exactly,
the first
exactly.
Zambian to ever come out, yeah.
Exactly, because you're the first one to ever do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. So, yes, guys, the Black Tiger himself is joining us today, and we're going to get to know more of him, more of his story, his background, his motivation, his goals, and yeah, guys, I hope you're going to be blessed by this. You're blessed. But I hope you're going to be touched, you're going to be motivated, encouraged. So, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for taking your time to join us here today.
It's a pleasure.
I know you're a busy man, but you availed your time to be
We
here.
try. We won't say, but we're trying our best to be busy. You have to be busy.
Exactly. So let's start from the top. I would like to know who Robert Simbowe is. How the Black Tiger came to be. Yes.
Nice. It's a long story. I'll have a sip of water.
Yes, you can.
Actually, it's interesting. I'm originally Zambian, born in Zambia, my mother, my father. Robert Simbowe, I'm the only son. I'm the only one. I would say I'm the only one in my mother and my father. I'm Tumbuka. That's Tumbuka is one of the languages that we have in Zambia.
Okay.
Zambia have almost about probably 72 different languages. Yeah, 47 somewhere there, I think.
That's
Just
still a lot.
but yeah, I think
That's
so.
still a
Yeah.
lot.
So I'm an orphan. My mother and my father left me when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sad, I'd say. So yeah, so Rob has been a fighter throughout his life. Been fighting from the age of 10 when I lost my parents. And it hasn't been easy, but there's one thing that my mother used to tell me when I was a kid, that, in life, you are all by yourself, and it's up to you to make the difference and to get what you want. So, it wasn't easy, but it was quite a long journey, I would say.
Sure. Whew. Yeah. I don't even know, because the whole background is quite intense. I don't even know where to touch right now. But yes, so that's how you came to be.
Yeah. So it's actually, okay, cool. So my mother and my father, I was actually basically raised by a single mother.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother and my father, they never really stayed together, I would say, but they were actually involved. But my mother was a very hardworking woman that, back then she, all she knew was to fight for herself and her life. So that's for them that I can't know what happened in between. But so I was born in Lusaka in a hospital called Kalingalinga Hospital. Then after that, my mother was very, very busy back then because she used to do business back and forth, South Africa, Zambia. That was like in the 80s, 70s, I would say, before even I was born. So I was actually raised more with my mom's closest friends.
Okay.
Because my mom was always busy. I think my mom only raised me from birth to maybe 1 or 2.
Okay.
Then from then, to like 4 years old, I was with my mom's friends and all that. And after that, my mom ended up realizing that, you know what, I've got something that I have to actually try to build and to focus on, and, you know. But unfortunately, in due time, you know, time never permitted us, you know, and she left. Then my father was the first one to pass away. My father passed away when I was like 9 years old, I would say, between 9 and 8 years old. I'd say 8 and 9 years old, between there. Then they all stayed in different places, but back then I had the opportunity to be able to spend time with both parents, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
I don't know where to start off, but you know, I would say Rob's story is actually, it's a whole book. You know, it's it's crazy. You know, it's been up and down in life. You know.
Yes, I mean, it's really it displays that you were really a fighter from the very beginning, like you stated it.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, you're a professional fighter.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Okay, so Rob's story is really touching. You know, I like what you said when you started off. You were like, you know, some would get blessed from this, some would learn from this interview, you know. So I was raised by a very good mother that was hardworking, that loved me so much, that wanted to give me the world if she could.
Okay.
You know, but it was unfortunate when she died, everything turned around. You know, I was a kid that was given everything, you know. I was going back then, I was going in best schools, you know. My mother fought to give me a good life. So when I lost my mother, because I lived with my mother for a very long time, and there's something that people never understood. This comes to play a part in life. Your parents will always remain your parents. The love, the support that they give you, you never get that somewhere else. Okay, so my father died first. Then my father used to live with his relatives.
Yes.
He lived with his brothers, because back then his brothers, you know, they all believed in staying together as one. And I used to spend most of my time there, because on holidays and all that. So when my father died, then we were at the funeral. After that, I spent the rest of the time with my mother. So my mother had different complications throughout her life. Not throughout, I would say towards the end, where she was ill, you know, she wasn't feeling well. And I was next to her every single time, you know, to help her, to support her. Unfortunately, life was just God. God had planned that thing to go that way, actually, I would say, because with me losing her and me going through so much in life, and me being who I am today, I can see that actually it was sad, but also God had planned something. So I lost my father in 99, yeah, in the beginning. Then later on, in 2000, around winter, then I lost my mother. So it was actually a year apart. So I'd say my father was like 8 years old, my mother was like between 9 years old, yeah. So after losing my mother, I was a kid, I knew nothing. But again, I thank God, because he guided me through so much and he protected me, you know, in things that I knew of and those that I never knew of, you know. He was there with me. So Rob's journey, you know, there's stuff that has actually made me so stronger in life, and came to realize so much, you know. After losing my mother in 2000, I went to stay with my uncle. But back then still, things just turned around completely, because I felt that I wasn't being looked after the way that my mom used to do. And I wasn't getting the privileges that my mother used to give me. So it was very tight. And I stayed with my uncle, one of my very good uncle that I loved. And I would say my uncle was like, he was staying like our drive to where I and my mother used to stay. Mm-hmm. And that's where I used to go to school. Okay. So after losing my mom, we buried everything. Then I was asked, where would I want to go stay? So I looked both sides, where was better, you know, my father's side and my mother's side. So I knew there were challenges, because it's no longer my mother's house or my father's house, right? It's some other people's house. So I chose to stay with my uncle. And my uncle, the reason was that my uncle had kids around the house. He had about 4, 5, or 6 kids. Then he had 2 different wives. But then his first kids with his first wife were actually very close with me.
Okay.
And they treated me like their brothers and sisters and all that. So we lived as one. But then it became a challenge because there was a point now where I have to go to school, and now my career has to play a part and everything has to go on.
Yes.
So they'll pick us up every morning with the driver from that house, which is an hour drive to where I used to go. Then you find that my uncle's kids, they will be like 20 minutes away from the house where we used to stay.
Okay.
So now that driver can only drive from that house to my uncle's kids' school.
Yes.
When I get there,
You have to walk
I
to
have
your
to walk to my school. Okay, so I was a kid, and okay, I did it a few times, but then eventually everything just became very tight for me and difficult for me. Okay, so the area that I and my mom used to stay was one of the famous areas back then in Zambia, where like good and wealthy people stay around. Like it was a very advanced area. So there was like this nice shopping center that everybody used to come because that's where it used to happen, and you know, that's where money was actually, I would say. Then it was difficult for me to continue with school. So at some point I would enjoy that. I did it back and forth for like 6, 7 months. Then now the story was that it was the same scenario where they'll pick me up. I'll get dropped by that school. I'll walk to my school. When I'm done with school, I have to walk back there. So I must be fetched, or I have to walk an hour to my uncle's office.
Okay.
So then the driver would drop me home. So, you know, there's so much just stuff going on.
And that time you were around, how old were you?
9.
Okay. It makes sense. It does make a lot of sense.
9. So eventually I had to give up. Then I had to say that, you know what, I told my uncle, I had to fabricate a lie that I'm going to go stay with my father's family. They probably, you know, and I'll try to go to school from there. And that was the deal. And I never did that because on the other side of my father's family was different. Yes, we were raised very well as a family with everybody. This is one thing my father's side, they did very well, where they never separated us. Okay. So if my father's brother or my father's elder brother's kids, they all brought us together when we were there. So they were like, okay, there is no separation. This is your elder brother, this is your younger brother, this is your sister. You deal with each other like that. So they don't tell you that this comes from this mother, or that comes from that father. You're all treated
like family.
Yeah, so we all like came from one mother and father, like both parents, just similar. You know, I would say like same mother and father for all the kids.
Okay.
And in that house we're like 8 to 9 kids.
Okay.
So my uncle permitted me, and he gave me money. It's like, okay, cool, you can go. Took my uniforms and some few clothes. And one of my mom's favorite clothes, some t-shirt that I loved a lot. That was, because that's the least that I did. Then I never went to my mother's family, actually. I went straight on the street. I had nowhere to go. So the only place that I knew very well, that I was familiar, and people knew me, was where I and my mother used to stay. Okay. So what I did is that I ran away. Instead of
this time you're 9 years old.
Yeah. Instead of me going home, then I went to that same place, that shopping center. Okay, the story of that shopping center, it never started there. It started when my mom was still alive, because that place was just booming. So I was very naughty, actually, because I was spoiled from my mom. I was given everything that I want. So this thing of me going in the street actually started back then when my mom was there.
Okay.
So there was a time where I don't know what I did home. Then I ran away from the house.
Okay.
And I never wanted to go back. Then on that same shopping center, it's called Northmead.
Okay.
Even Northmead, I was deceived by street kids when they saw me because I'm clean.
Wait, by this time,
my mom was still alive first. So that was when she was getting close to pass away, actually.
Okay.
She bought me, I used to have nice clothes, nice shoes. So I ran away home. Then I was scared to go back because I was afraid my mom would beat me. Then I went on that same shopping center. Then some of the street kids, they were like, this kid, but they knew me already. They knew because they would see me.
Yeah, you would be around there.
Yeah, I'll be there with my mom, walking around, doing shopping, and all that. So they had an idea. So they took me, and then I had nice shoes that my mom bought me back then. Then these kids, they played with my mind. They were like, in the street, since you don't want to go home, you can't sleep with these shoes. They'll rob you these shoes. I'm like, serious? Yes, what should we do? We should hide the shoes. Oh, okay. Now, those shoes were expensive because my mom bought those shoes back in South Africa back then. Then I was like, serious? Then I took those boots. I went with some of those boys. We hide those boots. Then I went to sleep.
And these are older kids. They're way older than you.
Older than me, yeah. So I went to sleep with them. In the morning I wake up, no one is there. I went to look where my shoes were.
No shoes.
My shoes are not there. What should I do? Let me go home.
So you spent the night outside?
Yeah. So I was like, let me go home. My mom was very strict. That was one thing. She knew what she was doing as well back then, because if she had to leave me just like that, I was going to really get spoiled in a very bad way, that I wouldn't be what I am today, or I wouldn't grow to be the man that
that you've become?
That I've become, or I want to be. I went back home. Then my mom was like, she had to scream at me, she had to beat me up and all that. And then I let it go. Okay, let's talk a bit about my mom. So when my mom decided to settle down with me, she was very busy actually, because that's the thing. That's why also they couldn't stay as well with my father as well, because she all believed in working, doing business, up and down. She loved traveling a lot as well.
Okay. So
back then she would travel, she'd be in overseas, she almost wanted to relocate to Sweden.
Oh.
That was when she was pregnant with me. By the time that she came to realize that she was pregnant, she had no choice. She had to come back to Zambia and just to see what's going on. Like, I'm pregnant, and okay, is the same man that I've been thinking about and all that. So my mom did play a key role in my life.
And how you were raised and how you grew up.
Yeah. So after that, in the street, went back home, she screamed at me. She still kept me, she accommodated me. She's a mother, I was beaten, yes, but not much. After that, okay, cool, you lose it, it's your fault. Then we carried on with our lives, Then that time, come 2000, I think this was played in 99.
Okay, most
was played in 99. So much was played in 99. In 2000, that's when everything was just coming to an end. Then she started getting healed. Then she wasn't the same anymore. Then also, I'm also getting taller a bit. I'm growing.
Yes.
So after that, that was skipped. Then in 2000, but back then I used to have a stepfather.
Okay.
That we were staying with.
Okay.
That was staying with my mother in my mother's house.
Okay.
So I knew nothing of relationships. I knew nothing of this, that, but all I knew was, okay, this is your stepfather and that's your father. But still, she made sure that I would still go back to my father. Okay. She would take me there, she would come and spend time with me as well and stuff like that. So it was difficult, So after when she died, then this is all thing played out. Then, I couldn't stay with my stepfather because why? They were never married. So that's why I chose to stay with my uncle. Mm-hmm. So when I went to my uncle, after everything, me being in, me walking to school,
Yeah, that was a bit difficult and
it was difficult for me. So the only place they knew me was on that same place because I'd already made a name and they knew I am.
Okay.
It was embarrassing because my mother was respected.
Okay.
And my mother was wealthy. I wouldn't say wealthy, I would say. She was okay. She was financially stable back then.
But but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
So I was ashamed. So what I did, I went back to that same place and I would only go there at night because there was clubs and there was so much. I would go there at night and during the day, I'll go somewhere else where they don't know me. Because why? All my schoolmates, all my childhood friends, they were all from that area. So if I'll go there during the day,
they will see you.
They'll see me. Then, it's embarrassment, like it's a disappointment. So I'll go there at night. During the day, I'll be in town, in the city town in Lusaka.
Okay.
Because Lusaka in town, nobody knew me. But only certain places where my mother was famous again.
That's where they knew you.
They knew me again. So there's one thing that I did when I chose to take that step, going in the street. I never wanted to go in the street. But I knew that in my families, in the family homes and all these places, I won't be looked after the way my parents did. And I feel that I was going to waste my time. The fact that my mother was brave, she wanted to be, she was working on her own, she was doing her own things. I was like, let me go fight for my life.
At 9 years old. This is mind-blowing.
So eventually, on that same spot, I was tired of hiding. And eventually, all my school friends started seeing me in the street. Started mocking me, calling me different names. It didn't bother. But there's one thing that I did master was to be nice with people at that same age and to be more respectful in everything that I do at that same age. And what I did a lot was I did find a way to be close to elder people, to all older people, I'd say.
Okay.
I don't know why, how. Then, and that helped me actually. So when they need something, I'll be like, send me. I'll do it. I'm in the street, send me, I'll do it. Do you want me to wash your car? So I was a street kid in Zambia from, these things that I just after I lost my mother, I would say from 2000.
And
2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 is when I chose to change my life.
So that's like almost 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 to 4 years. So
how did you eat?
So in the street, so much was happening. I would go on a certain, so what we would do on that shopping center, we would look after cars. When you come with your car, you come do your shopping, I'll give you a spot. Then I'll come to you, I'll be like, sir, can I look after your car?
9 years old.
Yeah.
Didn't people question you?
People did, but I'm an orphan. That's what was coming out of my mouth. I'm an orphan. And people really did feel so much sorry for me. But there's nothing that I can do. And it's not easy for anyone else to accommodate someone's child. Again, easy. People would promise you so much. And this is one thing that most, even current generation and all parents that, they're alive today, these are stuff they should be educating kids also as they build them, as they groom them. Because, when you've got your parents, everybody would love you. Everybody would like you.
Yes.
Even if you think, you don't think, people will praise you.
Yes.
You're educated, you're not educated, they'll praise you, especially if your parents are doing very well.
Yes.
Okay. And they will tell you stuff like, I'll look after you. Anytime you welcome in my house, you would go in the house, you'd even break a table, then don't worry. I'll give you food, I'll give you this to do this because your parents are there, because they can see how your parents are looking after you.
Exactly.
But if you want to see the true colors of people, is when you lose your parents.
When you're in need.
When you need now, when you lose weight. As a kid, you won't be able to describe need because you don't know the two difference there because you're young.
Sure.
What about what if you're 2, 3, 4 years old? Do you know the difference of need?
No, you don't.
You know? So I had many people that were surrounded by my mother. Okay? In all of them, I would say 0.5% came through for me. You know?
Yeah.
In 0.5%, I would even say maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people. But
Out of
then my mom,
everyone you knew.
Yeah, but then you'd find that my mom would have known either 400 to 500 people that would tell you that same story. Like, I'll look after you, I'll give you everything, I'll take you to school. So it's really sad, you know, at that point. So I had no choice. I had to make up my mind. So what I did was, okay, sometimes they ask me, why you don't want to go to school? Yeah, I do go to school in the afternoon or in the morning. I do go to school. So you have to fabricate a lie. Okay.
Just so that they don't bother you.
They don't bother you, you know. So that's how I ate. So you give me money. Then I was involved in, you know, I met street kids there, you know. And back then now, I'm a kid. I don't know what's happening. And, you know, street kids back then in Zambia, even in general, just everywhere, you know, they always have a habit of drug abuse, obsessed with drugs, obsessed with so much stuff. Then, you know, it's called, is it benzene? Benzene.
Yeah, benzene.
Yeah.
I still remember in street kids used to take that.
I think if you lived in Zambia, you would understand. So there used to be benzene and there used to be glue. Like glue.
Yeah, glue, yeah.
For shoes. Okay? And there used to be petrol.
Okay, I know the benzene and glue.
And petrol. The petrol that currently they're using is the one that they took away, that there used to be that thing, there's that effect that used to be very strong. I don't know, because now that's all back then.
Sure.
So I found these guys, they used to do all those things. And I got introduced to that at 9 years old. Where, you know, you get crew, you find the kid every time with a bottle hiding under your shirt because it was illegal. Then, you know, you smoke that. So I did that, and I did the benzene, you know, during the night a lot. You know, you're high, you don't know what's happening. You see like all the buildings are moving, they are flying. You start talking to buildings are flying. You know, you think cars are flying, you know. You know, you're high where, you know, but eventually I thank God, because there was a reason why I went through so much at a younger age, so that as I get older, I'll be protected and I'll be able to live longer. Because why? I've seen the worst from being a kid. Now, and this is how God plays, right? Some people would experience this as they grow older. And as you grow older, as you experience this, how much time do you have to change your life and to better yourself?
It's really happens.
It's already,
rare.
It's late. Because you only experiencing this. This is the same thing. This is what you said right on the beginning of this. I say, this conversation, it's good. It can help people. If people would, there's millions of people that been through so much in life.
Exactly.
You know, I've got friends like them. They'll tell you stories, but sometimes people, they hold them back. They feel like, you know what, I don't deserve to share this. But I feel that the more we start opening up and, you know, writing books and talking to people without trying to benefit anything from them, but just to help them from where they are, from where they've given up, or from where they've left in life, to say, you can do better and you can grow and you can be somebody tomorrow. You can even be a leader. You can even be a politician. You can be even a billionaire. Today I come to believe why there's a saying that the most rich are not educated. And it's true.
Also,
you find that it's by having their wisdom, by being more creative, they build so much. And when they build these empires, they come and get you, the educated one, to run for them.
Very true.
If you look at in America, these people that are rich, you understand? It's not that, we're not saying that education is not important.
No, it is.
You understand? It is important.
Yes.
You understand? But there is some that are educated and that education hasn't taken them anywhere. There's some that have diplomas, degrees, matrics, that hasn't taken them nowhere.
True.
There's some like us that come from the street that have paid the price in a very painful way.
Yes.
Where now there's wisdom and there's natural education.
True.
You can be educated. If you don't have wisdom, you won't go nowhere. But the rich, they've got wisdom. They create things that no man can imagine from thinking. Because why? If he doesn't drive himself to do that, nobody will ever do it for him.
True.
If you've got no one to give you 1,000, he's going to have to make that 1,000 to multiply that 1,000. So if you've got wisdom, you can acquire education.
True.
But if you don't have wisdom, for you to get wisdom,
you have to pay a price, like you say.
that's where I was going.
Yes.
Wisdom is a gift that God chooses who to give.
Okay.
Understand? There's people that seek it, cry it, eventually at the end, you're going to get it. But there's where God says, I dash you, it's yours. Now, when you've got wisdom, you are going to realize so much. And you've got wisdom, you can change your life and you can better your life. And this is how it came to turn around my life.
Exactly.
Because why? I couldn't let the situation that I was in to bring me down and to destroy me.
Because, I mean, I'm looking at this, your story. And what's the probability of a kid who's 9 years old to decide for himself that, guess what, my addiction to glue or benzene is bad, I should stop?
It's not easy.
It's impossible. It's close to impossible.
Only God can play that role. And God do send people and God do things in a mysterious way that no mankind will ever understand. You understand? So there's a say that God of orphans is a big God. This is why they say, this is why even the Bible itself, it has that's there to say that, you know what, God of widows, God of orphans. No, that one, when they say that, they know the power that one carries. Because he knows that you are a widow, right? How did you end up being a widow? That's only God's secret. And why they name that as a widow? Why that is played? When you lose life or something happened, there's where God plays his part.
Yes, he does.
And when he plays his part like that, he finds an alternative way
for you to get back to the right path.
But now you as a widow, why they call you a widow and why God will listen to you quicker and faster and now, because those tears are from inside, not outside.
True.
So the tears from the inside, the only person who would see that, it's God. That you cannot see. If I would look at you, you're smiling, you're happy, but the tears that is inside is God. Now me, I lose my mother, I lose my father, I lose my mother. I'm the only sibling.
The only child?
The only child from my mother. But my father had, so Rob's story is a book on its own.
Exactly. I mean,
so these are chapters that, I just have to sit and to say, this chapter is for this chapter is for this chapter is for this. My father, he had 2 other kids with 2 different women. Okay. Me, the way I was raised, the way my mother was, she had a very good heart. She was a welcoming person. She was a friendly person. She had a great personality. So that's where I took my personality from, and my heart, and everything that I do, actually, I would say today. So you find that my mom never told me to separate others. She told me that either this one is your brother, is your sister. Love them equally. love anybody. Just love them.
Don't discriminate.
Don't discriminate. Just love them. Understand? Don't give me excuse. Just love them.
I would like to know, before we go to the next chapter, what was going on in your mind as a kid on the street?
What was going on in my mind as a kid?
You're addicted to glue and benzene.
Yeah.
What was going on in your mind?
What was going on in my mind? It's what I'm doing now in life.
Really?
Yes.
How so?
Since before even my mother died, I was a kid that was very courageous and very brave. That would walk in front of my mother and I would tell her, say, you see you, I'll look after you in life. You see you see me, I'll do bigger things. Oh no, you're talking. She would say that to me. Stop talking. After you're busy opening my fridge, you finish all the food. I said, no. You see this fridge, right? I'll buy you. I would buy you the whole. From there to there, I'll buy you double that fridge. I'll give you. So you mustn't complain. We laugh about it.
Wow. Now, from the street, how did you transition? What caused the change?
So that's where I'm going. So. In the street, I tried my best. Actually, I was lucky, I would say, because people that loved me was just, strangers that were very hardworking, that they were determined for greatness and for success. And every day in the street, I could see those people that it was playing in their life every day because they were driven with something a lot. All of them that I was surrounded that liked me, that was a street kid. They would send me, they'll do this or this. And every time we would talk, me and them would say, I'll be like, I want to do good. I want to be a big boss. I want to be successful in life, But at that time, I'm probably 9 to 10 years old already, 11 years old already, you understand? Wow. Then I'm like, I want to do this. So back then we used to hear that South Africa, South Africa back then it was apartheid and there was so much crime, so much was happening and cars were coming from South Africa to Zambia. So we thought South Africa people were just picking up cars as well, So as a kid, that's what was playing in my mind. Like, South Africa was playing in my mind as well back then because my mom traveled to South Africa a lot.
Yes.
They did business and all that. So So I was like, I want to do good, I want to be successful. So this played a part. So actually, I got tired of being a street kid. I got tired of begging money, I would say.
Okay.
I got tired of breaking money I got tired of the whole life, actually.
So this is after 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
Because you are 12.
You know why? Because why? I thought that I was too young. And I thought that, begging money wasn't helping me. What about trying to get my own place or trying to find a house to settle down or to do this? Then I never liked the life that I was seeing in the street, actually. While I was a street kid, while I was doing the same thing. But that's why I say, when you have God's grace when God's grace is upon your life, He will lead you. He will guide you. Especially, like I've said, where it plays a widow and the orphan. So they say God of orphan is a big God. Not those that pretend to be street kids, to be this, to be that. No, not that. But when you've got something and now you're a kid, you don't know what's happening. So He's there and He has never left me. So I got tired because I got tired of crew, started that test, started feeling bad with that test, like while I was in the street. Then, come some days, I was I don't want this. Then after that, there was a point where I was like, there was a point where I started changing from, same time when I was a street kid, I started changing from provinces to provinces. So I was like in the capital, in a tourist capital where it was very famous because of tourists.
In Lusaka?
In Lusaka. So I was doing Livingston and Lusaka.
Livingston?
Yes. Me as well, in that same time, I was a street kid as well in Zimbabwe. So that's a Rob's story. It's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. So what I would do is that now, So what we used to do in Livingston, in Lusaka, at that same nightclub, it was very famous. And this is true, and I'm not shy to say this. I've been in everything in life that today I'll tell someone, I say, don't do this, it's wrong. Don't ever do it, it will never benefit you. So in Zambia, in Lusaka, at that same shopping center where I used to be, so what they used to do is, there used to be clubs, right? And those nightclubs, people were just coming from different places just to come there because that's where it was happening. Then there was a system now of people trying to be catching people at night when they're drunk. Okay? So these things was happening a lot. So when guys do that, when that place is hot, I would run to a different province.
Oh, okay.
So then it's not comfortable anymore. It's hot because these people, they're doing this. So I'll go to Livingston. When I go to Livingston again, now in Livingston, I was a street kid in town. In town. Then it was, if I try to imagine what was going on, so it was another life again with its own different stories. Daily stories. Life is a storytelling.
It is.
Like a daily story. Like today you wake up, you don't know what's happening, but you've planned your day from A to B to C, or from A to Z, you've planned your day, right? But you would go out, it won't go to A to Z. As much as you want, you would tell me in a daily basis, but it can go from A, B, C, D to what, maybe to halfway.
G, Z.
Understand? So life is like that. So when I was in Livingston, I was that person. So now in Livingston again, there's something that I never wanted to do. Even when just in general in the street, was stealing.
I mean, I'm shocked. This time, you're doing this.
Now, they already, I'm going between 10, 11. So you see, we can, because back then you were a kid, a year, you can think maybe it's 2, 3, 4 years. It's only now I came to realize, I say, actually, this happened in a short space of time. In a short space of time. So what happened then, I moved to Livingston. In Livingston, I was involved in street kids. Those street kids, again, it was a different life, again, something that we were not doing in Lusaka. You find that street kids would beg money. After begging money, we'll buy food. We'll go somewhere. We had our own corner where we made like those, those transformer. Like the electricity transformer.
Yes.
They build a small house like that for in case of the rain. So the transformer stays in there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we used to stay in that thing with the boys, all of us. So now in Livingston again. My life now started changing in Livingston more, actually. So me and those guys would buy food, would cook in tins, we pick some tins like that, would cook, would nice meat, and we'd buy food and we'd eat like together again, like a family, all the street kids together. It was crazy. My journey again, it even came on a point where I had to recycle food in dustbins and eat. Because this was playing out. You know how this was coming to happen. There's a good restaurant, and that restaurant, they always let us take their bins out, and they'll be like, so what they did, I never knew what I was doing. All the leftovers of food, they would like chuck them in a bag or what, then they give us that. I went to Livingston. So in Livingston again was the same story. Back then Zimbabwe was very good, and the Zim dollar was very it was high than Rand, high than Kwacha, So now we had a lot of stories of Livingston, of Vic Force, because it's like half an hour drive from Livingston to Zimbabwe side on the Vic Force.
That's what I'm shocked.
It's like half an hour drive.
Like Livingston is just close to Zim.
Yeah. So when I did that now, from the town, I relocated again, started going to the border. Town border. So now town, I became uncomfortable because all the street kids, all the friends that I had in the streets, they were more into crime, stealing, breaking, doing this, doing that. Now me, I had a bit of reserve on that back then. So I was like, even if I want to be pushed, I'll pull back. Because I was that guy that was willing to work or to do something to get money or just to be friendly with elderly people, I would say. They didn't help me. And this was a true story. To become friends with people that were owing businesses, shops, this. Because I know if I'm a friend, you're owing shop, I'll sweep outside.
You're going to help me.
And you're going to give me money, you're going to give me something.
Yes.
So this is how me I was. So if Livingston things are hot, then there was a point where I moved to Zimbabwe now. Now in Zimbabwe, I used to hide. I used to work first on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe. So it's just a distance of walking over the bridge, the Vic Falls Bridge, you in Zimbabwe. So there, I used to sell copper bangles. Then I would move to Zimbabwe. Then I had an uncle that was staying in Livingston again. Okay. So now, back then, after seeing people stealing, people doing this in the street, these things started coming out of me bit by bit. And I was like, okay, either ways, I've built networks with people that are doing good, that can help me by not just begging money and doing this. So what can I do? So one of the guys, back then in Zambia, petrol was hard in Livingston. So Zimbabwe was cheaper. And so people would go buy petrol in Zimbabwe to come and sell in 5 liters in Zambia. So I met those guys that were doing that business and started helping them, But all of them, they just like their minds were not, their heads were not, okay, they were like all messed up people, but they were matured people that could think at the same time. Messed up, not like us who were in the streets.
Messed up in their own way.
In their own way, where like, just, those rude bastards that, they don't care, So these guys, they were like, Rob, why don't you go to the border? You would sell than just to do this. I'm like, what can I sell? So it is those copper bracelets, then they were like, you can sell this. So I went to the border. At the border place, I went to help people that are coming from Zimbabwe with goods. Because people used to buy goods to come and sell in Zambia back then. So you find that, carrying people's stuff on my back, offloading trucks at the age of 11, 12. Going into 13, flooding trucks, doing this. Then again, it's too much for me. Then one day, I saw the guys used to sell those copper bangles, and they were making money. You would buy a copper bangle for like 5 rand for one, would sell it for like 300-400 rand. So that gap,
that's a lot.
That door was that was a changing time.
That's where your life now started
turning around completely. Because why? The transformation happened from there. Because why? I can make in that extra cash.
Yes.
So I can sell. So those bangles, you find that you would sell 3-4, you would make easily 2,000 already. So then I was like, if I can make money like this, maybe I can just go back and stay in the family house and start doing something like this. But again, before all that happened in Livingston, I was selling sweets as a street kid.
So you learned to sell already?
I learned to sell already.
Okay.
So all the guys that I met in Livingston, they were more productive in that way, creative in that way. They could sell stuff.
And they were not street kids really?
They were street kids already.
Oh, but they
were selling. Yeah. And again, amongst us, there were 2 of them that were brothers that stick to their principle of selling, and their business went like this that same period. And they were amongst the first one that moved out, and they were like, you know what, we'll go back home. Since we've raised this money, we don't want to do this anymore. And they went back to their village where it was stuff were tight to, were not easy to get there, I would say. So they'll buy stuff in the capital city and sell it in their villages, and they started opening shops, and they did well. Now me back then, I would sell sweets like this. The money comes, eat. Sometimes I sell like this, I leave it, because now you're selling things of 1 cent, 2 cent. Like just vendors, how they do, like with cigarettes, sweets, this and that. So I did that. Then after that, I went to the border.
That's when you started selling
bangles. I buy copper bangles, you shine them with bronze. And when you start selling then I come to you, I'm like, I sell you. My name is Robert. I'm selling copper bangles. These are beautiful. You know what this do? Do you know what the copper bangles does? They're good with heart attack.
Yes, I know those copper bangles.
Blood pressure, skin cancer, Have you heard of copper bangles? Like, no, I'm encouraging. This is a Zambian copper, sir. I try to sell not the copper, but with my personality, my character. So, my name is Robert, Zambia. Have you seen the big fives? Have you seen this? How's Zambia? Okay, so I'll try to get into your head to irritate you. By the time you're getting tired, you'll be like, how much?
Exactly.
Then I'm like, I got you. Then I'm like, you know what? I'll give you a good price. I haven't sold much today, but you're my first customer, How many you want? You can't have only one. Maybe take 2, 3. If there are 4, you must make sure that you've got even the kids one. So if he doesn't want, I'll change my story to the kids. That's how even now, these are stuff for salesperson or salespeople. But now I wasn't educated with all these things, but just because of the grace of God upon me and the way I think, the wisdom that God has given me, just I could create them. Like, okay, you know what? You don't want this, but you can buy for kids, just 1 or 2. Then I started making money. Then I started interacting with people, more tourists. Then after that, at the same time, now, if I'm not comfortable in Zambia, I'll run to Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe
now you had money enough to be traveling now.
Not money. Now I'm not even yet there. The money that I would make was okay, but I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm doing.
So now, from all this, right? From all this time, you still had it in mind that you wanted to be what you are right now, a professional.
Yes.
Not that.
That happened as I changed my life. So the whole journey went like that. So I went to Zimbabwe, became a street kid. And I was bullied by the Zimbabwean street kids. Oh, this Zambian, you know why? All the Zimbabwean that they were in the tourist sector, they liked me a lot because of my personality, the way I used to talk. So they used to call me. So you find that I'm not struggling much actually in the street. And this is what made me to be comfortable again, because I'm not struggling much because I'm good with people. They're giving me stuff. They're giving me money. They're giving me this. But eventually, the Zimbabwean street kids, they just had to adapt with me. They had to accept it. The same people, I had one of my good friends that I met there that liked me a lot was by the name of Temba. And Temba started taking me for fishing as a street kid. Because why? Zambezi was closed. It's like Zambezi is there. Mm-hmm. So those people that were doing the tourist stuff, they used to work with the boats and all that. They would take us, we go there, we fish, we help them to clean, we eat, we come back with them once in a while. But that was my boy's connection, Temba. Mm-hmm. Okay? Then after that, in Zimbabwe again, I met my uncle. So I was sitting like this on a restaurant, just talking to all my friends that are older people that comes from Livingston. We're talking. I saw one tall guy coming and pimping inside where I was sitting, because I had all the older people surrounding me. I see someone pimping like this because he heard the voice. I'm like, this should be my brother's son in Zimbabwe, because he came for business. So he comes, he checks there, it's me. Then he goes, he holds my hand. And he's like, it's my son. I'm like, it's my son. So people, they were like, you, say nice, is this your father? He's like, then I'm like, yes, it's my father. And now I started explaining all those Zimbabwean. That's when all the Zimbabwean street kids, they came to end up to know, like, but this guy does have a family again. And they hold me. So as they hold me, they're going, they blame me. As we were going to the guest house, that was around 8 p.m., I would remember. And that was in 2002.
At this point, were they looking for you?
No.
They were not looking for you? Why?
They will look for me. Those that were in Lusaka, in the capital city of Zambia, I had few cousins that were coming to look for me back and forth, and they would find me. And if they take me back home, 2-3 days, I would run away, because I'm already used with outside.
Yes.
So you find that they'll take me home, they'll close the gate, 10 p.m., no one to go out. Me, my friend, I'm waiting for you, all of you. When you go sleep, I'll jump the fence.
You're gone.
I'm gone. Because why? Already, my mind and everything is not in one place. That was on my father's side's family. Mm-hmm. Then I had my mother's side's family, where when I was in the street again in Lusaka, I used to have an auntie that I used to love so much, right? But that auntie was hiding me under the bed in the house. Why? They never liked me like they used to say when my mom was there.
Why under the bed?
So they used his husband as a shield, where my husband doesn't want to see you because you're naughty. So you need to stay under the bed or in the room. If he comes in the house, you go under the bed. Meanwhile, that was my aunties playing her things, doing her things. And they only come out and eat at 10 p.m. when the husband goes to sleep. When they sit watching TV at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., I'm in the room hiding.
She never really wanted you.
She never, that's the same thing I said. People are quicker to like you when you've got your parents that are doing well for you and are doing everything for you, that they want to see you grow. But if you want to see true colors of people or family members, lose those your parents. It's better when you lose them when you're old enough, you're older already. It's sad when you lose them in my situation where 8 years old.
9 years old.
So now, when I went to that auntie, I had my books and everything. She said she would take me to school. But yet, I had books and I was ready to go to school. And I wasn't going to school. But I didn't know what was going on. All that was pushing me back in the street. Because, okay, I want to go to school, here am I. Then you keep me down as my auntie. Then you're hiding me, you're doing this. And that same auntie was working in the Ministry of Education with her husband.
So it doesn't make sense.
She was a teacher as well. Through her life. So what really did push me to go back in the streets was so much.
Now it makes a lot of sense that you said there was no point of going back to family members.
So it was difficult to go back to family members. What people promised me, it wasn't what I was seeing. You know, and these things my mother told me. And these things, my mother, she knew these things that would come to play in my life.
She did tell you way before.
She told me way before.
So you were not shocked at this point?
I wasn't shocked.
But it was painful.
Yeah.
So now, this time you meet your uncle in Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe, I meet my uncle. He takes me to the hotel. That's my father's younger brother. He walking to the hotel. I remember back then and he was clever because he knew I'll run away. You know what he did? He gives me some groceries that he bought. I must carry them, so I mustn't run away. Okay, cool, I leave him. We take a walk, something like 5 to 10 minutes, just to go to his guest house where he was staying, a guest house hotel. As we get there, as we just do that,
you're gone.
I'm gone. I run away, I sleep out. And when I sleep out, even before, that was before actually when I was working with him from that same restaurant when I was sitting with those people, he took me. It's like everybody was like questioning him, is this your son? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, it's my son. And I ended up saying yes. Okay. Then we're walking, me and him, and all the street kids coming behind, asking him, yeah, it's my son, this and that. There was a complex where there's an exit, it's like an exit where you come out and you go down and you come out, where you just exit. I walk with him there. Then I ran away because I wasn't holding anything.
Yes.
Then all those Zimbabwe street kids, they chase me, they catch me, some thought I stole from him. Hey, they start bullying me, they bring me back. What did he do? What did he say? No, it's my son. It's your son now. Okay. He took me, went to his hotel. As we get there,
that's when you ran, yes.
I ran away, I got back. In the morning, he caught me. Again, same place, same areas. I don't know what. And I was sleeping, I don't know how. He caught me. Then it's like, okay, we're going today. Put me in the taxi. We went back to the border. Now at the border, I jumped illegally without a passport. Now he's got a passport. Now
how are you gonna go through?
Yeah. Now we have to go. Now we have to go through there. Now then, I don't have a passport now. So now
they're gonna ask you, what is his husband doing in Zimbabwe?
My father's brother is very clever. He knows already. He's like, yes. Now he takes me there. And he's like, how am I gonna go out there? He leaves me first. Now me, because there's a way how you can come out there, but that way only us. We know how to come out and to go in.
As street kids.
They're just as hustlers that play around the border. So I'm like, the only way I can come out here is either I must try to help anyone with goods, like I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm carrying goods for these people to take out. Now my father is on that side. He's waiting for me now. We need to go. Just went on the immigration. He says, my son. I say, how did you come in? I'm illegal. You are serious? Yeah, you Zambians, you stupid. You mustn't do that again. Smack me twice. I go. We go on the Zambian side. It's easy. I can just walk in and out.
But then you're a kid. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'll just go and do that. You know, my story, when I tell people, they would think it's something that I've made up or do, but it's something that I live, that I saw.
Because I mean,
it's a reality.
I'm shocked because I still want to get to the point to say, okay, how did you come to finally into
MMA?
Yes.
So after that, in Livingston, there was a point where I started making money out of selling bangles with tourists.
Okay.
Then I said, you know what? I don't want to be a street kid anymore. Because why? I felt it that I had a reputation to protect. I kind of felt it back then as well. So I was like, you know what? I'm still, and I'm a human being. I can do better from sleeping in the streets, from doing this. Then also by me selling bangles, I did actually interact with quite a lot of tourists that we could spend just an hour talking or hours just walking around just on the Victoria Falls, you know, just talking and sharing, telling them my story of my life. This is why all these ideas of me, them telling me to write books came up and all that. Then I had cousins that were in South Africa as well back then.
Okay.
While I was a street kid. They left even way before even my mother died, actually.
Okay.
They were in Cape Town. So I was like, okay, how can I change my life? Okay, now I can sell bangles. I can try to work. I can try to do this. I've got a shelter where to stay.
Okay. How old are you at this point?
At this point, I'm going in 13, 14.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. Let me get an ID. Let me hustle, get an ID, then get a passport. No one can do this for me. So what I did from selling bangles, then I saved a bit of money. Just same with in Livingston where I was, because Livingston was easier because, you know, there was not much population of people as to compare to Lusaka. So stuff were much quicker to come out. So then I had an uncle. I asked my uncle to help me that was staying there. I'm like, you know what? I've got my money. I'd like to get an ID. Just, you know, I think, you know what? It's okay. So then my uncle spoke with somebody that knew that was working there. Then they managed to get me ID back then. Well, now I've got an ID, I can get a passport. If I've got a passport, I can even cross in Zimbabwe and what. So what happened now, I got an ID. What I did where, before I get a passport, I got a border pass. So a border pass, you buy it from the immigration. You can just use it just for Zambia and Zimbabwe, just there.
Yes. For
the two borders, just there. Then I started going to Zimbabwe. I would come back normal way, like just the ordinary citizens. Then after that, I raised money. I took a passport. After having a passport, then I went back to Lusaka.
So at this point, you're like 14, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. 14. Then there, my aunt was like, no, you know what? I've got people that travel to South Africa that drive buses. And they knew your mother as well. So if I go to him, I ask him a favor, he would do the favor actually, and he will look after you. So he gave me the 200 rand. I gave her the 200 rand. We went to the bus driver. We gave him the 200 rand. He's like, we want you to take him to South Africa. Some of his cousins will come fetch him. I had a number, and I had communicated with them already. But I came to Joburg, then I was meant to go to Cape Town. So yeah, that guy, he never hesitated. He said, yes, I'll help you. But then even me coming here, the ticket itself was 600 rand back then, 650. I gave him 200 rand. I didn't have money to eat. When I came to Joburg, I didn't have anywhere to stay. So when I came, you know, he helped me on the border. I'm sure he even used the same 200 rand just to buy me food. When I got here, they put me in the accommodation where they stay. Till my cousin fetched me, and I moved to Cape Town. I think just coming to South Africa, that was the whole
transformation.
The whole transformation had to happen.
Very.
There when I got to Cape Town.
No, I mean, it's a long story, and I can see that you are so mouthful. You're like, the whole story is big. It's
really big, you know. Like even in Cape Town, when I got there, I started a different journey now, you know.
Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. We really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our Instagram at Primal Spirits Distillery and at Luke M, and share the story. It's a very, very nice, inspiring story, and we hope to see you on the next one. Take care.